Hey guys, Stay Patient here, and today I'm going to be starting a brand new series of videos called the PSN Trophy Hunters Update. Now, I'm going to do this every week on Sunday, as long as I have the opportunity to do so. Maybe it'll be on another day if I'm busy on Sunday, but we're going to be looking at the new releases on PSN for that week, and trying to figure out what we can about the games based on the trophies. You know, when there's AAA games released, we're going to try and look at those and see if there's any tidbits that we can figure out about the game. But we're also going to be looking at, which games look like they're going to be very easy, very quick. We're going to try and find some nice simple platinums for you big trophy hunters out there, and hopefully just save you the time sort of looking through everything yourself, because when these new games release, quite often you need to wait for feedback from the community. So you can figure out how difficult they're going to be, how long they might take. And I know a lot of you quite enjoy those easy platinums that you can just whack on your account in a couple of hours and be done with. And there's quite a lot of those, but they're quite hard to sort of find straight away. Sometimes you get lists of them posted on forums later on when they've been out for a while. But we're going to try and find those nice and quickly. With this being the first video that I'm doing, the first time I'm sort of doing this weekly update, there's going to actually be more games to cover than there will be on a normal week. We are here on psnprofiles.com, and we're going to go to the Games tab, and from here it puts all the most recent releases there. You can see they're in order of the latest games. Now, when you have it in this sort of default format, you can't actually scroll through further than this first page. I think if you choose other orders, you can choose to view them in order of the hardest or the easiest, or view them in, games that start with any particular letter and put them in different orders then. And that kind of allows you to scroll back through all the games that have ever been released, I believe. But when you look at it in order of the latest games and you have it on all here, so we can see all of them, we're only going to be able to see the most recent 50. But that's fine, because most weeks there aren't going to be 50 games released. There's lots of indie games released on PS4, but if they do start releasing more than 50 each week, then we'll just increase the regularity with which we do this video. But most weeks is going to be less than 50. The video will be a bit quicker, a bit shorter. But this week, because it's the first time, we're going to be scrolling back through these most recent 50 releases. We're not going to look at every game, obviously, but I've picked out some that I'd like to focus on. There are some interesting releases that you guys might want to play just because they look like good games. And there are one or two that are going to be super easy platinums that I wanted to point out to you. So if we scroll back down to the bottom of the list here, the first thing I notice is that there are a lot of platinums, a lot of games with platinum trophies released over the last week or so, however long it's been since this first one here, Valley, was released probably a couple of weeks ago. But there's a lot of games that no one's played. If we scroll up to the top, you'll see, a lot of these have got 0 players simply because they're in the process of being released. So when it comes to those games that don't really have people playing them yet, maybe the trophies are added to PSN before the game has been released, then there's not really much feedback to go on. But obviously next week, some of these that haven't been played yet will have been played, and we'll be able to get some feedback by going on PlayStationTrophies.org, maybe looking at the voting thread for how difficult or how long people estimate it to be. And we'll be able to get a bit more information on those very, very recent releases that may not actually be on the store yet. But if we go down to the bottom, a lot of these have been played, and the first one that kind of popped out to me, just because it has been played by a nice high number of people, especially for what I believe is like an indie sort of digital release, is Killstrain. Now, there isn't a lot of feedback when it comes to the difficulty of the trophies, but if we look at it, it looks to be very popular. There's a lot of activity in the forum regarding it, and I've got the trophies in the order of oh, let's change it. I thought I did. I've got them in the order of rarity. One person so far, I believe, has earned the platinum. If we take a look at the 100% club, Dennis238, well done. He's earned the platinum. It's taken him about a week and a half, which is quite a long time for one of these downloadable titles. I'm not sure if other people will come along and earn it a lot quicker, but that's all we've got to go on so far. And it looks to be either a longer platinum or possibly a harder one. But that's one of those games that really just popped out to me for the sake of, being quite popular. I figured I'd point it out. So maybe it's a good game. It's one that I've literally never heard of until I came on here. And that's one of the great things about PSN Profiles, is that it introduces you to games that you may never have come across otherwise. So I might check that out when I get a chance. But there's not a lot to go on trophy-wise just yet. There is a game that we do have a lot to go on when it comes to trophies. And it's absolute gold for you trophy hunters, and this is the main one that I'm going to be focusing on during this video. That is Orc Slayer, and a lot of you trophy hunters have probably heard of this already. You'll straight away notice that the average completion out of the 226 people that have played it, the average completion is 78%, which is very, very high. If we click on it, 68% of people have earned the platinum look. Now, that's extremely high. And if we go in further to the 100% club, you'll notice here that everybody, all the fastest times, you know, all the people who've earned it in the fastest time, the top 50, have all earned it within 4 hours. Now, most of them look around 1 hour, 2 hours. So as you can see, it's a super fast platinum. So what I did is I went across to PlayStationTrophies.org. And another awesome thing about it that I noticed straight away when I searched for it is that it's available in Europe and in the rest of the world. So whatever version you buy, as long as it's not Europe, that's going to count as this one here. But the European version is separate and has a separate trophy list. Exactly the same trophies, but those trophy lists stack, which means that you can buy the game from, let's say, America and Europe, play both versions and earn the trophies twice. So if we click on, in fact, I've already got I believe I've got the trophy guide open. It's not been stickied yet, but Sellers, one of the popular trophy guide writers here, has already got a guide up for it. And he gives it a 1 out of 10 in difficulty. And it says it will take 1 to 2 hours. That's his personal estimate. So obviously those people on PSN Profiles that were taking 3 or 4 hours probably just had a break during their play session, because it does look like an extremely painful game to play. It does not look good. So if you're looking for a fun, exciting indie game that's underrated, this isn't it. It doesn't look good. You know, go and check out some gameplay. It looks embarrassing, to be honest. But, you know, if you do stick with it, if you've got a couple of hours spare and you're a big trophy hunter and you don't mind playing these awful games, then go ahead. I'm probably going to pick up both versions. As some of you know, I run a trophy service anyway, so I'll pick up both so I can do it for my customers. But there you go, a 2-hour platinum. If we go back to, or in fact, if we go to the forum page for this, someone here has posted a thread, by far the easiest and fastest platinum I've ever got. So there you go. Oh, and also, we've got something here I almost forgot to mention. It's been posted on PSN Profiles, and also I've just noticed there it's on PlayStationTrophies.org, the unlimited health glitch. And I'm not going to read this out to you because I'll let you guys look this up. But basically there's a super easy glitch you can use to refill your health. And it looks like the kind of game that's so easy you might think that you don't need it. But a lot of people have said that it's so painful to play, it's so boring and horrible, and they just, you know, really struggle to stick with it, that having that ability to just steamroll through the game, able to heal themselves whenever they wanted, actually made a big difference. It just helped them get the game over and done with, basically. So that just makes it even easier. It's already super easy by the looks of it. But there you go. So Orc Slayer, if we pop back out to the list of games, here we go. So that's the first one I wanted to kind of highlight for you trophy hunters. Oh, and the other great thing as well, another thing I almost forgot to mention, is the price. It's £3.99 on the UK store, and I believe according to the trophy guide, $3.99 in the US. Now that seems a bit unfair to us because of the exchange rate. We're spending the same as you, but the pound's worth less anyway. Either way, it's super cheap and it's not going to break anyone's wallet. So go out and check it out. Maybe buy both versions if you have access to a US store as well. Another couple of PS4 Platinums to add to the list, to add to the collection. Let's pop back here to our list of games and continue scrolling. So, we've got a Transformers game here. We're not going to go into everything because there's so much here. As I mentioned, there's loads of games with Platinum trophies, which really surprised me. Usually, a lot of these indie titles come along without Platinums, such as this Laser Disco Defenders. But so many of these have Platinums, but unfortunately, not all of them have sort of any feedback from the community yet. Either they haven't been out long enough and no one's playing it, or they're not actually out officially yet, so we don't have a lot of feedback to go on. So maybe come back later and have a look at some of these. You might want to scribble them down and check them out later, but usually the ones that are super easy do have a lot of people playing them, and there usually is at least some feedback to go on because people love easy games, easy Platinums. So we're going to just look at Riptide GP Renegade here. Now, this is another game in the Riptide GP series. I'm not sure, you may have played Riptide GP2. That's a game I picked up and I actually quite enjoyed. I picked it up because it was an easy, relatively quick Platinum. You know, it's not super quick. It's not like one you can do in the morning or afternoon like that Orc Slayer game. But it doesn't take too long. It's relatively easy. So I bought it. And I actually ended up enjoying it a lot more than I expected to. And a lot of people have said the same thing. It's a game that people have really had fun with. So this caught my eye, and I'm probably going to pick it up just because it looks a lot of fun. I'm not sure if it's going to be maybe a bit tougher. Not many people have earned the Platinum yet, so maybe they've added a sort of layer of difficulty to it. And there's no sort of votes on the trophy difficulty rating thread on PlayStationTrophies.org yet. At least there wasn't when I checked. And so there's no real saying which way it could go. It could be a lot harder, but I'm guessing it's going to be along the same lines as the previous game, in which case I think it's worth a look. It might be worth waiting for a price drop. It's one of those types of games that is very likely to drop in price. You know, be in one of the sales or something. There's a summer sale on at the moment. Maybe the next sale that comes along might have this in it. Who knows? But it's definitely worth a look because it's quite a fun little game. Obviously, it's a jet ski racing game, as you can tell. I'm not going to go too much into it. You can check out some footage of this one or the previous one. Okay, so let's keep going, shall we? Let's have a look here. We come up to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now, the first and second Ultimate Alliance games are being remastered or have been remastered for PS4. Now, I've never played them. I've played most games, but the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games are one of those that a friend of mine really loved at the time. He said he's not sure how well it holds up now. He's not actually played the PS4 version, but he's not sure if it's going to hold up, you know, when compared to modern games. And I don't know how much effort they've really put into the remastering of it, you know, whether it looks that much better or whether it plays any differently. But if you're a big fan of the Marvel Universe, go and check it out. And in time, I'm sure there will be some feedback when it comes to the trophy difficulty. In fact, while we're here, let's just, because I haven't checked this recently, I'm sorry I didn't have this ready already, but let's just have a look and see if there has been any feedback on these. Let's check Ultimate Alliance first. If we go into the forums, we'll be able to have both open here. I'm thinking about doing a series of videos on how to be a trophy hunter, and if you're wondering what these websites are all about, if you've not used them before, these websites are going to be featured in my series of videos when I get round to doing it. So keep an eye out on my channel for that. But let's have a look here. We haven't got any voting thread open yet for, which one is this? Is this the first Ultimate Alliance yet? The second one? Ultimate Alliance 2 seems to have a bit more activity. And let's have a look. I think this might actually be, yeah, this is rerouting us to the PS3 version, because Ultimate Alliance 2 was on PlayStation 3, so it already had trophies. I'm not 100% sure if those trophies are the same on the PS4 version. Very possible. But as it says here, 16 to 18 hours, 4 out of 10 difficulties, so very much a doable Platinum if you enjoy the Marvel Universe. And the first game is obviously going to have trophies added to it, because it was on PS2 originally when trophies didn't exist. So yeah, check that out. They look like they might be a bit of fun. Let's have a look. Let's go back, because I'm sure those of you who are into the Marvel games will know all about that and be able to make up your own mind when it comes to those. We're going to keep scrolling here. We have Indigo Prophecy. Now, this is a remaster again. A lot of remasters coming out these days. But this game actually looks quite interesting. It didn't score massively high reviews when it came out. It's actually called Fahrenheit as well. It's one of those games with two names, which can be a bit confusing. Depends what region you're in. But Fahrenheit, it was received fairly well. I remember a friend of mine absolutely loved the game. I've not played it myself, but it's quite an interesting story. You know, it's one of those games that if you enjoy a good story, it's made by David Cage and Quantic Dream. They're the guys who did, you know, Heavy Rain and the Souls one, I forget the name of it, Beyond Two Souls, that one. So they always make quite interesting stories, narratives, but I believe it's a bit more of an action game, you know, when compared to their other more sort of quick time based games. But again, there's not a lot of feedback on this one when it comes to how the trophies are, but it's definitely a game to keep an eye on if you'd like to sort of go back and experience a game that was a bit of a classic when it was released, a bit of a cult classic, you know. Definitely worth a look. We've got the Oli Oli games being re-released. I'm not really sure what changes they've had when it comes to these Epic Combo Edition versions, but obviously updated for the PS4. Yeah, so they're supposed to be very fun games, but difficult platinums, if I remember correctly. So be careful of those if you are trying to retain a 100% completion rating. We're going to keep going. Ape Escape 2 pops out to me because I remember Ape Escape back in the day. I can't remember if it was PS1 or PS2. I think it was PS2, but a lot of fun nights spent with a bunch of mates playing Ape Escape, one of those crazy games that sticks in your memory. So it's quite cool that we've got a second one coming out. No platinum, unfortunately, but one of those games that's not really... It may be a trophy hunter's game, depending on how easy they are, but it's more one of those party games, you know, that you crack out when you've got some friends around. Anyway, we're nearing the top of the list here. And we come to the next one that stands out to me, which is Batman. Now, it's just called Batman. You may be wondering what this is, you know. It's not the remastered collection of the Arkham games. It is, in fact, the Telltale game. And you can tell that based on the fact that all of the trophies are story-related. In fact, I'm going to scroll through and make sure that is the case. Yes, as is the case with the majority of Telltale games, you literally earn every single trophy just by playing through. So here is another example of a super easy platinum. But when you compare this to Orc Slayer, it's probably going to be 1,000 times more fun because the Telltale games are great anyway. I'm hoping that they've done something to sort of update the engine or something because it's starting to get a bit dated. But everyone loves Batman, everyone loves Telltale, and this is probably shaping up to be a lot of fun. So another really easy game that's actually worth playing. So there we have it, guys. That's the Trophy Hunters update for this week. Just to reiterate, we have Batman that we just mentioned, and we have Orc Slayer, which is super cheap, super easy, super fast, and it has a stacking trophy list between the European version and all the other versions. So there you have it, guys. I hope that's been helpful to some of you. I'm not sure how long this has been until I look back and check the recording. I hope I haven't rambled on too long, though. Anyway, check back in. The weekly videos are going to be a lot quicker and a lot shorter than this, but we just had more sort of games to cover this week because it's the first video in my series. But come back next Sunday, and I'll be uploading a similar video, and hopefully by then we'll have the No Man's Sky trophies to peruse over. In fact, I may do an individual video just for those trophies when they are announced, because I'm very excited to see what's involved in that platinum. Hopefully not visiting every planet, because that's humanly impossible. But there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye for now.